I'm John Moavenzadeh. I'm Executive Director here at the MIT Mobility Initiative, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the second annual Mobility Vision Day. So the Mobility Initiative was founded as a global resource to accelerate the transition to a better mobility system. But what is better? And for us, it really comes down to three words: safe, clean, and inclusive. So keep those three words in the back of your mind as we go through the day. Safe, clean, inclusive. But if we want our mobility system to be better, we also have to ask, better for whom? If we set goals, we have to ask, for whom are we setting these goals? For many years in my career, I had the privilege of working with the CEOs in the global car industry, the automotive industry. And it was very interesting to me that all of them had a very clear vision, a very clear understanding of how many vehicles they sold in the last year, in the last quarter, and they had very clear goals for how many vehicles they were going to sell in the next quarter or the next year. And what's interesting is very, very few of them, probably around zero, could tell you, what does it cost your customers to drive 1 kilometer in Paris or Hong Kong or New York? And it seemed to me, because there's this focus on the goal of selling cars, that they were seeing the world through the lens of the company and not necessarily seeing the world as much through the lens of their customers. And it's not just cars and automotive, it's public transportation as well. I was invited to give a talk at an organization called the UITP. This is like the kind of global group of public transportation agencies. This was many years ago, maybe 2012 in Geneva, and they had put forth this goal to say, we are going to double the share of public transportation used in the world by the end of this decade. And they asked me, they said, so what do you think of that goal, John? I said, well, I think that's a great goal for you guys, but I don't know if it's necessarily a great goal for people. If you live in a place where public transportation is terrible, and you're saying we're gonna have twice as many people using terrible public transportation, maybe that's not the best goal to have. Similarly, I was in Dubai 2 weeks ago, which I think is an amazing place, right? I love the ambition, the vision of something that was a fishing village 60 years ago and is now this global metropolis. And they set a goal in 2016. They said by the year 2030, 25% of our transportation is going to be autonomous. So that was a pure, technology goal. But we have to kind of step back and say, why? Right? Why? What are we actually trying to achieve? Is it just technology for the sake of technology? So Robin Chase, the founder of Zipcar, is somebody well known in this crowd, and unfortunately Robin can't be with us today. She's actually in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon today. She's well known for this kind of famous concept of autonomous heaven and autonomous hell, right? So the idea that technology can create very good outcomes and it can create not so good outcomes. And the point is that it's our choice, right? It's our decision. We saw the cover of Business Week a couple weeks ago. Even after $100 billion, self-driving cars are going nowhere. Well, yesterday, Kyle Vaught, who's the founder and CEO of Cruise, spent 90 minutes of his day with our students in our Mobility Ventures class. And one of the students from the Sloan School of Management here asked Kyle, said, so what do you think of Argo? Right, so Argo is the Pittsburgh-based full-stack self-driving autonomous company that more or less collapsed last week after billions of dollars of investment from Ford and Volkswagen. I thought Kyle's response to the question was very thoughtful. And he said, you know, this is the long game, and it reminds me very much of this famous quote from Roy Armorod, which is, we tend to overestimate the impact of technology in the short term and underestimate it in the long term. And that feels a lot like where autonomous mobility is today. We're sort of wallowing in the trough of disillusionment, but every day we continue to make progress. So it is coming. When Kyle referenced the balance between this kind of reality of where the technology is and the sort of perception of, you know, the experts, the markets, whatever, he said something like, you know, it doesn't matter what everyone thinks until it does matter, meaning until it actually becomes harder to attract talent or raise capital or what have you. So I think that's also something to keep in the back of our minds today as we think about where we are right now in the mobility journey. Mobility is a complex and highly dynamic system, and we need to put people at the center of that system. And the goals should be focused on people, not on cars, not on public transit rolling stock, not on technology, but on people. And this is why Jinhua founded the MIT Mobility Initiative. It's a global resource to better understand and navigate this complex dynamic system. I joined not just because Jim was the nicest guy in the world, which he is, but also because I love connecting with all of you. I love connecting with the people who are on the front lines of what's happening in transportation. So who's in this room? Who are you? So of course I ran the numbers last night. 66%, about 2 out of every 3 people in this room are coming from the business world. And it's a pretty senior crowd. 26% of all participants have the title of founder or chief in their business title. 9% of you come from government, and 25% come from MIT, other universities, and the nonprofit sector. And this is because mobility depends on partnerships. Our program today is designed for what I call hyper interaction, to foster partnerships. We don't have time to waste. I mean, literally the planet is depending on us to decarbonize transportation as fast as possible. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask you to move. You're seated at these round tables, and as we go from one topic to another, we will be quite militant in pushing you to get up and move to a different table. So, and this is because we have really 2 kind of fundamental goals for today. This is all we really want to accomplish. We want you to come away with at least 1 new friend, meaning somebody that you think, I need to follow up with this person. And the second goal is we want you to come away with 1 new idea about some insight into what is going on out there in this world of transportation. So we're here in this amazing, newly renovated headquarters of The Engine, which is a tough tech venture firm launched by MIT. And I'd like to introduce Reed Sturtevant. Reed, if you could come up, please. Reed, if you could tell us just a little bit about what The Engine is. So Reed is a general partner here at The Engine. He's a founder and managing director at Project 11 Ventures and Techstars Boston. He attended MIT, his background in software, ran Microsoft Startup Labs here in Cambridge. Early in his career, he founded Freelance Graphics, which was acquired by Lotus. And he serves on a number of boards, including the Routing Company, one of our mobility innovators here in this room today. So Reed, please, over to you.
Great, thank you.